we want to sit on our sitting bones. So sit on your sitting bones, relax your legs. You can always sit on a chair if you prefer, or you can sit on a block or roll up the edge of your mat, whatever helps. Just try and get that bottom out and sit on those bones. Relax your legs, relax your shoulders back. So we're trying to sit up through the heart, remember. This is very different from moving through the spine. So when we sit up through the heart, it's not about arching backwards. It's about keeping the rib cage down, lifting the heart, which actually makes your shoulders drop back a little bit. In fact, if you actually do push your rib cage out, what tends to happen is the heart drops then. So remember, in and lift up. To start with, all we're going to do is find our breathing rhythm and just be a little bit more aware of the breath coming in and out of your body. So nice and calm, don't need to do forceful breath, just nice and calm. Be aware of your rhythm. It's much easier to work with your rhythm than me trying to tell you when to breathe. So once you've got your posture, we're going to be pulling up between the sitting bones. So we're lifting our pelvic floor, we're pulling up into the body. You should feel that quite low down by the hips. We're pulling up behind the belly button. Again, lifting the heart slightly. So inhale to prepare and exhale to engage up through the pelvic floor, up through the core. Nice and gentle. And all we're going to add to that is a rotation. So we're going to work down the spine. So we're going to start with the vertebrae somewhere around this area. So try not to keep that fixed and turn it all together from here. Try and break the movement down into little tiny rotations. So we're going to place the hands. You can either place it on that area or together, it's up to you. Think of moving from where your collarbones are first. So inhale to prepare, make sure your posture's good, relax your shoulders, relax your legs. As you exhale, engage your core, and right from the top, try and just get a tiny little movement, maybe even tap your collarbones to remind you that you're trying to break that movement down and rotate round. So that rotation is moving through the spine, it's not in one area. And then come back to the centre. So relax your shoulders, relax your legs, lift up through your core. Think of breaking the movement down bone by bone. So you're going to get a gradual rotation that travels the length of your spine. So we're thinking of moving down that way. So always work with the breath. Now the first few can be quite tricky to do, especially if you have been moving less or doing different things. So as you exhale, lift up through your core, focus, start to rotate round. Feel that movement creep through the spine. So it's very much a gradual movement. Let's even do a few more. As you're doing this, there's a few things you can think of to tell if the movement's quite difficult for you. So if you're doing this and you're feeling like you're tensing your legs and you're really trying to push, it probably just means that area's a little bit tight for you, a little bit hard to move. So try not to push with the legs. Maybe slow down a bit, maybe make the movement less, maybe don't go as far. So it's more quality than quantity. Yeah, so you don't need to do lots and lots of these. Don't need to make them big movements, you need to get the movement in the right place first. And then you can worry about how many you can do and whether you can make them a bigger movement. Let's do one last one. And back to the centre. And again, relax your shoulders. If your shoulders feel like they've crept up a bit, maybe you were trying to push with your shoulder a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of shoulder stability now, which is just really good positioning of the shoulders. So as I was saying earlier, we're going to keep the rib cage in here, and lift up through your heart. And as you do that, it kind of drops your shoulder blades sort of back over into your back. Yeah, so rather than being here, we want to create a lift here and the shoulders drop back. So all we're going to do is draw the shoulder blades slightly down and slightly together. So inhale to prepare. Exhale, lift up through your core, draw your shoulder blades slightly down and slightly together. Very subtle without arching your back. So there's not a lot to see here, but I want you to feel the tension pulling around here. Now we're going to add to that, so we're going to bring the hands up. So we're practicing this. This we're actually going to use quite a lot in the next exercise. So you want to know that you've got this little bit of control and to understand the difference between arching your back and keeping that down and actually using your shoulder stabilizers. So if you use your shoulder stabilizers, your shoulder blades will move. If you're not, and you're doing a kind of compensation, you will find your rib cage moves, your back arches. So we're going to try and hold on using the right muscles, and then we're just going to rotate the arms. And this you should really feel in terms of your shoulder blades pulling into your back, not your back arching. So inhale, exhale. Pull those shoulder blades, relax your legs and rotate. Release off, inhale. If your legs are really taking over, maybe just sit on a chair for this one, because we don't want that to distract from what we're doing. Inhale, exhale, draw your shoulder blades down your back slightly together, get that rotation. You should feel like your shoulder blades are pulling into your back. See if we can just do a couple more. So you can feel that all around the shoulder blade. I'm going to test it a bit harder now. So we're going to have a go at side plank. For some reason, not very popular, this exercise. But this is such a good exercise for shoulder stability, for your deep core muscles. It's a really good exercise to strengthen through the back. So we're going to take the knees back. Don't be tempted to try and make it easy and bring your legs forward. It's not really going to help you. So knees are quite far back, almost lined up with my hips. I've got my elbow under my shoulder. The most important thing is your posture. So like I said before, your alignment, yeah? We don't want that rib cage pushed out. That needs to be tucked in so you're nicely lined up. Then we need your shoulder positioning that we had on the last one. So you've just got that little bit of lifting your heart and drawing your shoulder blades together. Your head stays with your body, so you're not trying to put your head anywhere. Keep it in line with your body. As you breathe out, lift up through your core and imagine not that you are lifting your hips, because you can see that's not pulling you straight, but that you are pulling up through your pelvic floor and your core to pull you into a straight line. So take a breath in. Exhale, tighten around your shoulder blades, core lengthen to lift. So it should pull you into good posture, good alignment. That's what we're looking for. And come back down. You don't need to stay up there a long time. So lift, exhale, lift up through your core, lengthen, 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 come back down, inhale. If you feel that it's all going wrong, just move around your shoulder blades. There's a lot of work going on here, isn't there, as support. Maybe don't even lift up. Maybe just get used to having weight in that elbow, which therefore means that shoulder's got to stabilise. Maybe just practice lifting up through your core and then move on to this when you feel ready. So we're not going to do too many today. You are welcome, obviously, when you play it back, to pause and do a few more if you want to. But just get some really good technique. You should be feeling this now, down this side, this lower side. Yes, I know we've got loads going on there, but this is working. These are the deeper muscles, the core muscles working. So on that lower side, lifting your heart, pulling up through the body. Okay, and then as I said, give your shoulder a little bit of movement there just to release it off. We're going to come down on that same side onto the floor. So in a straight line, if you want to make it harder, have this arm out, but remember your shoulder positioning. If you're like this on the floor, it's better to try and get the shoulder back and have a good body position, have yourself perhaps on your arm. So we'll do that version, but if you want to make it harder, you can straighten your arm. Pull up through your core, remember tailbone down towards your heels. As you exhale, engage your core. We're working here, so this is a hip hitch, so I want you to pull your hip up your body. As you breathe out, lift up pelvic floor and core, pull up through your body again, lifting up through the heart, pull that hip. Can you see that hip is actually moving? So pulling up. Try not to push with your leg. Try and pull. Pull your hip. Gradually pull, pull, pull. Keep going. And back down. Draw up. And release. I'm going to make it a little bit harder, so there's always options. If you are struggling to move your hip, you can't really feel it. You should feel it more sort of in your lower back and then into the side. If you're struggling to feel that, stay at this level. If you want to make it harder, make that top leg rigid, stiff. So when you pull, you get a little bit of a lift of that leg. Not because you're lifting the leg, because you are pulling here and the leg is rigid. So actually kind of lifting the weight of the leg. Or have both legs together, stiff, rigid, stuck together. Now pull your hip and you are lifting the weight of the legs. Yeah, it's not you lifting your feet, you're pulling from here. So I want to try and do about 10-15 of these. Lifting up through your core, pulling from your hip. So the movement is the same regardless of whatever level you do. Pulling up. You've probably done a few more while I was explaining. So if you've done about 10, if you're feeling that, you want to open through that side by opening out, stretching out the top arm and the top leg. And just have a nice stretch when you're ready. So if you're still working or stretching, that's fine. Let me just show you the next exercise. So we're going to come onto a kneeling position. And what we're trying to do here is open this bit to work this bit. So we're opening the hip to work the glutes, or help to work the glutes. So try not to sit down into position. Try and squeeze your bottom, push down into the floor. Make sure you're lined up and get those glutes to really work. We're then going to add to that the core, so we're engaging the core. So again, your rib cage is down, you are trying to lift your heart. As you exhale, so we've got a little bit of shoulder stability in here as well. Excuse me. As we exhale, we're going to lift up through the core, squeeze the bottom more, push down into your knees a little bit, and float the arms. So as you do this, I want you to try and avoid sitting back into it like this, but I also want you to try and avoid your lift of the rib cage, yeah? So let's try and get the bottom to work. Squeeze the bottom. You can have your feet relaxed or you can tuck them under if you want to. Squeeze that bottom, lift up through your core, lift the heart, float the arms. So see how it works best for you. Some people find it's better with their legs relaxed. Some people find it's better with their toes tucked under. I want you to try and get your glutes, but also the back of your thigh. Try and get this bit to work a little bit, your hamstring, as well as your bottom. Float those arms. Now, how high you can go depends on your shoulder mobility and stability and your core. So if your shoulders are in position, you might find you can go a little bit higher. If you can keep your rib cage down, if you've got good control, see if you can take your arms even higher. But watch that you've not started to sit back. Draw the shoulder blades together, lift up through the core, squeeze the bottom. See if we can do 2 more. Good work. Let's go on to the other side. So we're going on to the side plank. On the other side. So here again, we're trying to line ourselves up. So knees sort of in line. Try not to sit back into this. Get that top hip above the bottom hip. Elbow under your shoulder blade. Under your shoulder. Draw your shoulder blades together. Rib cage down. As you exhale, lift up through your pelvic floor and your core. And remember, you're keeping your head with your body. You're just trying to lengthen to lift. And then come back down. Do we remember how many we did on the other side? We want to try and do the same. So remember, there is a lot of shoulder stability going on, but you should feel this in that lower side. Now you may well feel a real difference in shoulder stability. So the side that you feel the most, working your shoulder, that's probably a little bit harder for your shoulder stability on that side, so you can practice that. But you do want to feel this in this lower side as well. So lift up through your core, pull up through your centre, get that core to activate and try and lengthen rather than push your hip up. Pull yourself long, really long. Try not to let that rib cage push out and lift your heart. And remember, if you're feeling it in your shoulder, just roll your shoulder. Try not to do too much lengthening through the back and stretching, because for a lot of us that's the problem. We're a bit too tight here and a bit too long at the back, so our shoulder stability isn't brilliant. Okay, and then we're going to come down onto our sides. We're doing the hip hitch on this side. So again, remember, you're not doing anything with your leg. Relax your leg. As you breathe out, lift up through your core, pull your hip, pull it. So from here, the back and the side, pull it up your body. So this bit should get shorter. Now remember, we had options, didn't we? So you can just do that, that's fine. If you want to make your leg really stiff, just the top bottom pull, you're going to get a slight lift of the leg. And that is just about the weight of the leg, so it doesn't need to be high. In fact, if it's going up there, you're probably using your leg more than you're using these muscles. The other option was to put both legs together, so they're stiff together, but you're still not lifting them, you're still pulling above the head. You should feel it in here, more round the back than the side. And again, we want to try and match the other side. So you might find it is a little bit easier on one side. Plenty of time to do homework. So you can always practice the weaker side. Lift up through the core, exhale. So keep focused on what you should feel rather than what it looks like. Because this does look like I'm just lifting my legs, but I'm pulling my hip up my body. So remember, that's where you're working. When you finish, you need to stretch out. Tuck your bottom under a little bit maybe. Good work. I'm going to finish with a little bit of mobility. So we've done quite a lot of lower back strengthening. So that was working your QL, so does the side plank. So we're just going to see if we can do some mobility for the lower backs, but try not to do too much up around the shoulders now. You have got a bit of shoulder stability again because you've got weight in your hands. So just let your shoulder blades here just sink into your back. See if you can just take, like your tailbone's a pen and you're drawing a pen line side to side, just draw in a straight line, horizontal. Good. Now imagine you're drawing a line up and down. Lift and tuck under. So if you're finding the movement hard to do, think of that as a pen, your tailbone. And think of drawing a really long line, so it's as high up as you can and as far down as you can. Hopefully. So we're now going to kind of join that up. So if you think you've got a cross drawn behind you, you're going to sort of connect it up, connect the ends up to draw a circle. So we're going to try and circle around. Now to start with, you might find your whole body's moving, that doesn't matter. Maybe do that as a warm-up. But then try and just move your hips. So slow down, don't think about what it looks like. Imagine that cross behind you that you've just drawn, and imagine trying to just draw a circle around it. Don't forget to breathe, don't hold your breath. And then have a go, see if you can go the other way. I was doing lots of gardening, I've been doing long walks, all great exercise. But if you're doing different things, you might find that your body feels a little bit different. So be aware of that and think about what you need to do. Yeah, so rather than just copying, if you think, well, that bit there is really tight, you just focus on that a little bit more. And then we are going to try and do the barreling, where we're trying to get the body to go around as if you're doing that movement. So we were drawing a circle, but now you're doing it more through the middle of your body. So you're trying to bring your rib cage down and your rib cage up and out and around. And then the other way. Your rib cage, move it. And we're going to try and work through the spine. So we're going to start from the tailbone end, from the hip end. I'm going to try and move bone by bone, working up the spine. We're going to stay in that position and we're going to try and start again at the hips and move the other way. So think of lifting your tailbone. So you should be able to see my lower back is starting to drop. Creep that movement up through the body. So you should have a sort of curved shape to your back. Everyone's different. Yeah, so just try your best to move your spine bone by bone. Stay here. Now from your tailbone in, try and pull your tailbone down. Remember, if anything doesn't feel right to you or you know your back shouldn't be doing it, please don't do it. Listen to your body. You know how you feel. Lifting up through the spine. Now try and stay there. And see if you can lift your tailbone. So your tailbone is now going up, which is dropping my lower back. I'm trying to drop down through my back. So it's quite difficult to do because you're going from one to the other. Great mobility through the spine, but please be gentle. So you keep working from the hip end. You keep trying to move through the back, through the bones of the spine, through the vertebrae, one by one. A nice stretch. And then see if you can go the other way. Keep breathing. Okay, now we're going to come back to neutral. We're just going to round up through the lower back and sink back very gently. So again, if you've got lower back disc problems, you might be just here. You might not want to add to it because that will put more pressure through that area. So lift up through the lower back, sink back if it's suitable for you. Just feel a nice stretch, be gentle, no bouncing, it's just a small movement. Just trying to get your tissue to move a little bit more rather than just doing a stretch. And release. And again, lift up, sit back. And release down, come up, and gently sit back. So be kind, be gentle.